For my sewing chicken owners, let's sew an egg apron. You can customize this to whatever size you need, however many eggs you want to collect. For this one, the main body will be 21 by 17.5 inches, and you'll need 2 pieces of fabric for the front and back. Pin around the 3 sides to sew, but we're going to leave the top part open so that we can turn it out when we're done. When you're done sewing, clip the corners and turn it out. Make sure to push out the corners and then give it a good press with your iron. Now you need 4 pieces of fabric for the part that's going to hold the eggs. I cut mine 17 by 4.5 inches. Then you'll place them right sides together, or like what we like to say sometimes, pretty sides together. Pin before sewing, but leave one of the edges open to turn it out. After you're done sewing, clip those corners too. And on smaller things that I have to turn out, I like to clip the edges as well, because that just helps to reduce the bulk a little bit more. Turning out these smaller pieces is a little funky doodle sometimes, but you got this. And then again, make sure that you push out those corners. I'm using a wooden dowel. Give those a good press, and now it's time to lay them on our main body. Now use your own creativity to figure out how you want to lay these on your apron. And then we're going to create our pleats. Whip out your ruler and mark out dashes along the 2 strips that are 2 inches apart. On the very first dash, fold over a pleat and then pin that in place. Then you're going to skip over your second dash and go to the 3rd dash to make your second pleat. And the reason that we're doing this is because we're actually going to sew in between the pleats on that other dash that we skipped over, so that it creates a little cup for each individual egg. Line up your strips how you want them, pin them in place, and then we're going to sew along the 3 edges, leaving the top open so that they stay open for the eggs to go in. Also important, making sure that you backstitch. And when you go over your pleats, it gets a little wonky because they're so thick, so make sure that you're pulling a decent amount. Try your best to be patient during this step, because I know it can get frustrating, but we're gonna do it together. Now it's time to sew in between those pleats. So find the markings that we skipped over and just line that up with your sewing machine and go to town. We've got one little egg pocket done, and now to just do the rest. We really only have one step left, and that's to make the tie that goes around your waist. The length can be a personal preference, but I would stick anywhere between 45 inches and 55 inches long and 5 inches wide. As you just saw, you will fold that strip in half, press it, and then fold the 2 sides towards the crease. Press that, fold again and press, and now we're going to find the center. We're going to do that by folding it in half again and folding the body and putting a little crease so that we can match that crease up. We're going to match up the apron and the strips together, and then open up the strip and slide the apron into it, and then we're going to sew it. Starting at one end of the strip, we're actually going to sew 2 lines. So one at the top all the way down, and then one at the bottom all the way down, just to give it extra security. Make sure everything is exactly where you want it, and pin it in place and bring it to your sewing machine. And we are done. Look at there, that was the last step. Actually, the real last step is to try it on. Big question though, I want to know, how many chickens do you have?